Hare Krishna, Dandat Guruji. I think we can start the kirtan.
Sure, bro. Sure. I'll start with the prayers. Already 2:40.
Yes, bro.
We'll start. We'll start with prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्यामिने गौरद्विषे नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमोऽस्तुते। सप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपादमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणम्। हरे कृष्णा। So welcome to our Bhakti Vaibhav study on fourth canto Pratimara section.
Thank you, bro.
So we will just look at the overview of for 22nd chapter. We are almost ending. 23rd we will try to begin. We will see then when we start that one. And the last part we are remaining. Right, 22nd chapter. Sanat Kumar, Chitush Kumaras came, Prithvimaraj welcomed them, worshipped them, and inquired from them. And then Kumara's beautiful section, how to become Shreya, Kshemasya Hetu. What is the cause of the ultimate benefit? So that cause is main cause, attachment to the Supreme Lord, detachment in this material world. That is spoken in how to achieve that kind of attachment to the Lord and detachment on the world. So they spoke, Sanat Kumar especially spoke how we need to start regulating the senses, not like animal life of sense gratification, but slowly come to human life, following dharma, artha, kama, moksha.
Raji, can we start recording?
Yeah, it's been done.
Thank you, bro.
It's going on. So from animal life to human life, dharma has to slowly, not only just dharma for the body, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. So it has to, the important point is moksha. You have to focus on moksha. And to attain moksha, there are the karma, jnana, yoga, and bhakti. Out of all that, especially they focused on jnana and the bhakti. They explained a little bit about jnana. Initially, jnana mishra bhakti, and then bhakti mishra jnana. Both explained how to realize Paramatma. Finally, pure bhakti. that famous verse of that Yat Pada Pankaj Palasa Vilasa Bhaktya, how to just being glorifying the lotus feet of the Lord, meditating on the lotus feet of the Lord, or meditating on the pastimes of the Lord, on the pastimes that same lotus feet traverse the land of Vrindavan. At pastimes one should glorify, and also one can just by following the activities of the chanting, dancing, and feasting. That is also given by Acharya's commentary. Palasa, Vilasa, Vilasa. Vilasa means activities, shining or activities. So that activities also in terms of chanting, dancing, and feasting. These three are mentioned by Sanatana Goswami. Just by doing these three, considering these are all Bhagavad Mahapsad, all these three forms. So that is also Palasa. This is also Vilasa. So by these are also activities which can uproot the karmashriyam, Grataya Santiham, Gatayanti Santaha. So by that is one of the famous verse we need to, at least we can, of course, as a part of Bhakti Shastri also, Bhakti Vaibhav also, we have that kind of recitation, we can remember that verse. So that's what the main focus of pure bhakti. Am I audible? Is my voice is okay? And any background noise is coming or any disturbance?
No, Prabhu, all fine.
Okay. So then Prithu Maharaj appreciating them, glorifying them again, saying gratitude. So we saw that famous verse, one more famous verse, Eiridishi Bhagavatir Gajiratmavada. So that famous verse, how one should so that verse Palasa Vilasa Bhaktya we have seen in this year only. I don't know whether you remember. So this 424, 422, 39. I'm showing on the screen. Hope you are able to see my screen.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. So this 422, 39. Yatpada Pankaja Palasa Vilasa Bhaktya. So, so this line, this verse is pure bhakti, pure devotion that we saw a little bit. Yeah. 422, 39. It's a beautiful verse. And then Prithu Maharaj expressing his gratitude. Then this famous verse came, how we cannot repay the debt. So Prabhupada's famous statement that we have also seen that how knowledge of Krishna is such a great gift. It is impossible to repay. It is impossible to repay the benefactor. So that's what the famous line by Prabhupada in the purport we have seen. Prithu Maharaj expressing his gratitude. And then Kumaras departed. And from there onwards, Prithu Maharaj rule is described, how wonderful the rule of Prithu Maharaj. And then afterwards his family. I think he was married before only, generally, because I'm conjecturing because generally yajnas are done along with wife. So yajnas, because he was doing yajnas, he was already married by the time.
Yeah,
So,
Prabhu, one thing I wanted to ask, when
Yeah.
Prithu Maharaj took birth and then along with the same time, Archie mother also took birth, and they predicted that you'll be the good fortune, and the fortune.
Yeah.
So it seems there is no, in the whole process, there is no description about the marriage festival or something like that, because their eternal father, husband and wife, something like that.
Yeah, good logical point you brought out. Thank you. That's a wonderful point. Yeah, correct. When they churned the hand, left thigh, they both are produced. So that shows that, from there onwards they are there. But here especially, in this section, they mentioned about how he was married and how he brought up children. He begot children in her and how they were wonderful. So So it appears to be he was not married. It appears to be contextual, but yeah, as you mentioned, logical point that so both are produced at the same time. Okay, so we will just read the. I think we completed around 51 verses. We'll start from 52. 51, I think. Yeah. So basically, the position of Prithu is how he is a great personality fixed in pure bhakti. She was just satisfied with bhakti. But though he is ruling, just like Yudhishthira Maharaj, there was also description. Though he was ruling, but he was only satisfied by only satisfaction was worship of Krishna, absorption in Krishna. That is also for Yudhishthira Maharaj was glorified in first canto. Although he was a very famous purport, there Prabhupada writes about the whole world is hungry, hungry living beings. How one can be really satisfied only by Krishna. So here also Prithu Maharaj very much fixed in pure bhakti, and he is also ruling the kingdom, Rajarshi. That's why they are called Rajarshis. They are very shrewd in knowledge. So the conclusion of all knowledge is to worship of Krishna. Bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prabhate. So the ultimate knowledge means to know Krishna and to worship Krishna. That is the final goal of knowledge. Should be. The Rajarshis, they are supposed to be saintly kings. Saint and king, both. So then his duties were described how he was performing all his duties very absolutely to the point of dharma and trying to encourage everyone at different levels. Dharma, varnashrama, both sides he is very much supporting and encouraging. So that is described according to time, place, circumstances, with only one aim to satisfy the absolute. Internally is just to want to please Krishna. So here some note is given about from Prabhupada purport. Pure devotees like Prithu are beyond execution of karmas, yet as householders they sometimes engage in karmas. So it appears to be some karmakandi activities like yajna and all these taking care of varnashrama, etc., encouraging, etc., appears to be like a mundane activities. Pure devotion means, oh, you just chant Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, only those things. But why is doing all these samskaras and all these things? But still, that is explained in this manner that he is beyond karmas, karmakanda activities, but still as a king, they sometimes are as householders, both kings and householders. As an example, they set for the society, lokahita. So for that, one should set an example. Though internally they have great pure devotion, just like Advaita-acharya also. Advaita-acharya was such a great devotee, pure devotee of the Lord, but still he was doing many activities externally, tarpana, pindadan, etc. So why they do? So to teach people in general, example, to avoid lapses in the following rules of varnashrama. So because if people see that we are not following varnashrama, many a times, they may also not follow. So avoid criticism of path of bhakti. Avoid. So people will criticize, why these people will not follow properly. So many people criticize. Of course, some people may keep on criticizing, but we don't bother. But still, at least to not bring bad name to the whole institute. Certain things, certain external things, we may try to do in certain way. So to protect the confidentiality of pure bhakti, yeah, how pure bhakti is very confidential and very powerful. Otherwise, people may try to imitate pure bhakti, but they will only cheat people in that way to avoid all kinds of illegal activities in the name of pure bhakti, so confidentiality bhakti. So for that, they try to follow all kinds of sometimes especially they follow karmakandi activities like Prithu Maharaj and especially Prithu Maharaj, Yudhishthira Maharaj, especially kings and householders, they have to do certain activities. But internal faith is different. The faith is the main important factor. They don't have faith in these activities, but faith in only in pure devotion. Yeah. Then the mood of Prithu Maharaj in doing all this is always thought of himself as servant of the Lord, who is the proprietor of everything. Dedicate the fruits of his all activities unto the Lord. So internally is always dedicated to the Lord. So then other things are explained here. Someone can read 52, 55, this one, unaffected.
Yes, bro. 52, right?
Yeah.
Although Prithu was a householder possessing kingdom and wealth, he never used his opulence for sense edification and thus remained unaffected like the sun.
Continue.
He performed all fruitful activities without attachment and by his own desire produced 5 sons named Vijitasva, Dhumara, Dhum,
Dhumrakesha.
Kesha, Haryaksha, Dravina, and Vakra in his wife Archi. He embodied all the qualities of the Devatas. Protection. Being Krishna conscious, Achyutak Mukha, Maharaj Prithu wanted to protect the Lord's creation according to time by pleasing the citizens with his attractive qualities, words, and mind.
This is about his ruling and his family. So the internal mood is very important. The external activity and internal mood, attitude. The activities and attitudes, we need to always be seen. Many times activities may not be according to the proper line of bhakti, but attitudes, we need to be always maintain that attitudes. Just like going to office, doing some kind of business. Just like Prabhupada was carrying a paper on his head, 1960s. People thought, why this fellow at this time, at this age, at the age of 60, and why he has to carry all this paper and run here and there? Why can't he just sit and chant? Why has to earn money? I think he's just trying to earn some money and make some business and to enjoy himself. So external activity, people may misunderstand. So, but attitudes are the one which are bhavagrahi janardhana. So the attitude is most important. That's why Prabhupada wrote a nectar of instruction. The advancement depends upon the attitude of the follower. So, of course, we do also external activities of Shravanam Kirtanam, bhakti activities only we do. But sometimes we have to, as householders, we have to do some business or job, taking care of children, taking care of home, so many things we have to keep on carrying on. But the attitudes, we have to slowly refine. So when we refine our attitudes, then it doesn't bind us, but rather liberate us. The same home, same children, same business, same things may bind one, may liberate one. But how we see, how we act is a consciousness. Just like Duryodhana and Arjun doing the same activity of fighting, shooting arrows, etc., fighting, killing, but entirely different internals. So that is expressed here. And then that's how he was unaffected. So because that attitude, he was unaffected by anything external, like sun, example is given. And then these two things are explained, how his progeny, how great sons, he begot great sons because great father, like son. It says, some saying is there. It may not be applied to all. Just like Vena and Anga. Anga was such a great devotee, but Vena became such a arrogant, cruel person. So, but generally, like father, like son, they say. All the sons ruled the kingdom. Prithu Maharaj gave later on 23rd chapter. We'll see that he gave all the kingdom to them, and they went to forest. So then he was protect the Lord by his consciousness, by his rule. Both he protected the whole creation. So that's the point. And then finally we'll come to all these qualities of Prithu Maharaj. How he was like a moon, and initial also, if you remember, when he was born, the sages, the birds were glorifying Prithu Maharaj. Just now he took up the charge and they were started praising all the birds, basically king ministers in the kingdom. All these wonderful qualities. Again, they are like because such a wonderful personality, his qualities are compared to all the devatas, and different objects are mentioned here. So slowly we will see, and we'll complete this chapter. So 22. But mostly, basically, we may not see everything in this because Prabhupada very extensively wrote many purports in this. You please try to go through either by reading or hearing. Keep on hearing also, for same purports will have impact. Hearing audiobooks. 52, I think we are in. Yeah, well, at least we'll read translation so that we can have some connection. 50 can read translation. Okay, we'll read recite the verse. Karmani cha yatha kalam, yatha desham yatha balam, yathochitam yatha vittam, akarod brahma sat kritam.
Being self-satisfied, Maharaj Prithu executed his duty as perfectly as possible according to the time and his situation, strength, and the financial position. His only aim in all these activities was to satisfy the absolute truth. In this way, he actively acted.
Sri Krishna Prityarde. So if we remember with before anything, this point, this phrase, Sri Krishna Prityarde, or Shri Radha Vrindavan Prityarde, or Shri whatever beloved deities Prityarde, whatever reading, hearing, pate, shravane, seva, job, business, whatever. So, or before going to bed or after waking up. And we remember, then it will be more of a devotional day. Our day will be more of a devotion, imbued with devotion. So for his pleasure, we continue all our things. Of course, there is a beautiful verse also in Vishnu Sahasranam. कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणाय समर्पयामि. नारायणाय इति samarpayami kaya vacha. Whatever we do with our activity, kaya manasa vacha buddhya, whatever, it be pleasing to Lord Narayana. This is for Narayana, this is for Narayana. Narayana iti samarpayami. So that's how everything becomes devotional. So all the activities become devotional, imbued. That's how he is carrying on all the activities with Maharaj. Phalam brahmani sanyasya nirvisanga samahitah karmadhyaksham cha madvana atmanam prakrute param. Please read translation.
I think Prabhuji has some connection issue.
Oh,
I'll
there
just-
is a-
One minute. I'm there. 1 minute.
okay.
51, right? Too?
Yes.
Maharaj Prithu completely dedicated himself to be the eternal servant of the Supreme Person of Godhead, transcendental to material nature. Consequently, all the fruits of his activities were dedicated to the Lord. And he always thought of himself as a servant of the Supreme Person of Godhead, the proprietor of everything.
So phalam brahmani sanyasya. So phalam, whatever phalam brahmani is to Krishna. absolute truth. Sannyasa means to give up, to give, to offer. So everything is offering to Krishna. Nirvisanga samahita. By that he became uncontaminated. Nirvisanga, he became detached, he became without contamination, completely dedication. So that's the main aspect, main pivotal for all kinds of activities. So when we do that, we will not be bound by what we discussed. We will not be bound by activities. So proper quoting the same theme with the different verses. Kamyanam karmanam nyasam sannyasam kavyo vidu. So sarva karma phalatyagam prahurtyagam vichakshanaha. So sarva karma phalatyagam. Krishna keeps on hammering this point of karma phalatyaga from starting onwards to ending. This is 18th chapter. Don't be attached to the fruits of your activities. Just, even if you are unable to give to me, give to someone else, but don't give with you. That was in 12th chapter, he gives the hierarchy, not hierarchy, different stages, different rungs of how one should do in the acts, do his activities, and what to do with the results in this world. So if you give it to me, that's wonderful. But if you don't have great faith in me, give to someone else, but don't give with you. You will be miserable. You will be contaminated. You will be suffering all kinds of sinful results. So that's what Krishna is trying to emphasize on the point of the phala, karma phala, selfless devotional service. That's our main point. Anyavilashta shunyam jnana karma jnanavritam. So this will always be fundamental point, selfless service. Selfless devotional service. And add to that loving, selfless devotional service.
Prabhuji, just
Yes.
wanted to ask. So this word, Phala Brahmani Sannyasam, is very nice to hear, underline, but very difficult to follow. Everything dedicated to Yat Karoshi Yadashmasi Yajod. So
Yeah.
I mean to say, someday we'll come to this stage.
No, definitely. See, at different levels, we are sacrificing. See, so much just by taking to Krishna consciousness itself is we are given up so much right now. What following four regular principles and chanting 16 rounds, taking time to study Srimad Bhagavatam itself is we are giving up, offering so much to Krishna. The phala we are offering, the time and energy. It's not that we should not have an understanding that it means that we should give everything and go to forest. So we'll come to that point today in our 23rd chapter. Prabhupada very beautifully explains what does that is mean, giving up everything and going to forest. What we can do as devotees practicing in Krishna consciousness. Very beautiful purports. Actually, 22, 23rd, amazing purports Prabhupada writes. But at least we can aspire. See, there may not be external manifestation, but the internal desire can be developed, intensified day by day. So because of circumstances, because of situations, though I want to do immediately, but it may not be, things may not be very favorable or may not be up my expectation, but still one can have the desire and intensify the desire day by day. So then Krishna will definitely facilitate whenever the time suits. And whenever we are ready, when Krishna feels that we are ready, then he can definitely, and he can do that. In just like in Prabhupada's life, he did. So phalam brahmani sannyasa, whatever we have, we are offering. So we are offering in the sense not only giving up everything, either to temple or to some other project or whatever, but we are engaging in Krishna service. So whatever energy we have, physical, mental, intellectual, financial. So we are seeing that we are engaging in Krishna service. So that is the meaning of, subtle meaning more that phalam brahmani sannyas, giving
Yes.
to Krishna. Yeah.
Thank you.
There is more. Prabhupada also explains same. See, not attached to So please read this point. What Prabhupada mentions.
The word nirvishangam, uncontaminated, is very significant because Maharaj Mrityu was not attached to the results of his activities. In this material world, a person is always thinking of the proprietorship of everything he accumulates or works for. When the fruits of one's activities are rendered to the service of the Lord, one is naturally practicing karma yoga.
So Karma Yoga is also, Prabhupada is equating as Bhakti Yoga only. You can read this also a little bit.
Anyone can practice karma yoga, but it is especially easy for the householder who can install a deity of the Lord in the home and worship him according to the methods of Bhakti yoga.
Then he describes.
This method includes
He describes.
nine
He
items.
describes. Yes. He describes Bhakti Yoga 9 Naveda Bhakti. So these methods of Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga are broadcast all over the world by our society. So in one's home or in temple, the deity is considered the proprietor of everything, and everyone is considered deity's eternal servant. The Lord is transcendental, for he is not part of the material creation. So Prabhupada, he is Supreme Lord, is beyond this one, beyond material world. That point, Prabhupada is coming to Brahmani, Sannyasa. So, but this is for us, that either in home or temple. Home is a temple. Our temple is a home in the sense that we have like a family, spiritual family. Keeping Krishna as a center. That becomes more and more spiritually vibrant. Then it's a Bhakti Yoga. Then we are seeing everything as a offering to Krishna. So by that we become Jivan Mukta, Prabhupada explains. So one always remains. Yes, your question?
No, Prabhu, you can continue.
One always remains a servant of Krishna and engages everything in his service. One is accepted as Jivan Mukta. So though he is engaging, what is that verse, Prabhupada Swami's verse? Jivan Mukta, one verse is there, I don't remember now. He says about Jivan Mukta. Jivan Mukta Sauchate. There is a verse. Anyway. So the main point is that Phalam Brahmani Sanyasya. So a dedicated devotee should prosecute his work according to the rules and regulations described in the devotional service. The results of his activities are completely dependent on the supreme will of the Lord. So our main thing is to dedicate everything to dedicate in the sense that we offer that consciousness, everything for Krishna. Just like Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is going and working for 6-8 hours a day and hearing all kinds of what we read in newspapers. He used to hear every day. Can you imagine? This person cheated me, this person eluded me, or this person killed, or this person murdered, or something happened in home, fightings. What court cases? Court cases are all like this only. So many legal cases, divorce cases, or some things. All material cases only will come to court. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur has to hear every day 6 hours. Can you imagine? What kind of a torture? Yeah, as I think this is the verse, Jivan Mukta. Yaha yasya hare dasya karmana manasagira. Nikilashu api avastasu Jivan Mukta sa uchyate. Rupa Goswami's Bhaktivinoda Swami Sindhu. So, Hare Dasya, in the mood of a servant, Karmana Manasagira, Kaya Manasa Vacha, if we are trying to engage in all the activities, Nikaleshu Api Avastas, all the activities, Jivan Mukta, though he is engaging in all the activities. So, but he is called Jivan Mukta. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, we are discussing that how that job itself is such a giving judgments, hearing the whole cases, all the cases, hearing all the details, who is cheating whom, or who is looting whom, or who is doing all illegal activities, all nonsense will has to hear, but still he is like untouched by any contamination. And night he comes, if we hear, We are recommended to not to read newspapers, not to see any news and all. I mean, even if you read even for 15, 20 minutes, let us see what is happening in around the world, then how it will haunt in our chanting. We have many experiences. Sometimes we have to go through certain newses, etc. Whenever some social issues come, not only will haunt or hover around the mind in the chanting, but Bhaktivinoda Thakur has to hear 6 hours and come home in the night and do go to programs and inspire everyone to chant, come home again, write books and write books for whole night. And we absorbed in writing books, not just small books. And such a complicated, I mean, such an intricate philosophy and very profound understanding, Siddhanta. These are all great personalities, amazing personalities. So, of course, they are exalted definitely, but we can take some inspiration how we can be in the world but not of the world, slowly. So, that takes little time, practice, and sincerity and absorption in whatever we do. So that's the main point, that dedicated devotee should prosecute his work according to the rules and regulations described in devotional service. The results of his activities are completely dependent on supreme will of the Lord. So let us not attach to the results. Karma phala tyagam. Krishna also, I think somewhere I wrote, I think. That's just where I kept note. Single thing, I think. Krishna says that naham krito bhavo. Naham krito bhavo. So one who doesn't have that ahankrita, I have done. Ahamkrita, I have done. If it doesn't have one, if one doesn't have this consciousness, ahamkrita bhava, then even if he's killing the whole world, hatvapi na hanyate. So even though he's killing the whole world, he's not bound. Na nibadhyate, I think. Yeah. So yasya na ahamkrito bhavo. So that's where it starts. So in the Gita he says, so one is not be bound. So the main point is our consciousness, as Prithu Maharaj, we are discussing the consciousness, very attached to pleasing the Supreme Lord. Let us go ahead. Griheshu vartamanopi sa samrajya shriyanvitaha na sajjate indriyardheshu niraham matir arkavat.
Maharaj Prithu, who was very opulent due to the prosperity of his entire empire, remained as at home as a householder. Since he was never inclined to utilize his opulences for the gratification of his senses, he remained unattached, exactly like the sun, which is unaffected in all circumstances.
Just to give an example, when we give an example, then it becomes quite clear. Otherwise, it is hazy. Oh, how he is not attached? How he is doing everything and not attached? Yeah, Padmapatra Mamasa, just like a lotus leaf, just like a sun, he is not contaminated, but the sun itself purifies others. Contamination will not touch the sun. Rather, the sun itself purifies all contamination, wherever it is. So both are different things, as Ishopanishad explains. Shuddham apapa viddham. So that's the main point here. So he is not touched by the contamination. Let us go through. एवमाध्यात्म योगेन कर्मण् अनुसमाचरन् पुत्रन् उत्पादयामास पंचार्चिष्यात्मसम्मतान्.
Being situated in the liberated position of devotional service, Prithu Maharaj not only performed all fruitive activities but also begot 5 sons by his wife Archi. Indeed, all his sons were begotten according to his own desire.
So last verse also is not affected by any kind of desire, is like sun, like unto sun, arkavat. Sometimes sun shines on stool, urine, so many other polluted things. But since the sun is all powerful, is never affected by the polluted things with which it associates. So similarly, a devotee may engage in so many material activities, but because he has no desire for sense gratification, they never affect him. So this is the main point. So the main point we always, Prabhupada always repeats, because there is no desire, selfish desire, kama phala tyagam. Yeah, I think this verse I was quoting. Yasya nahankrito bhavo buddhir yasya na lipyate hatva pisa iman lokha na hanti na nibadyate. 1817. So buddhi, iska buddhi, iska intelligence is not touched by, contaminated by ahankrita bhava. I am the doer. Buddhir yasya na lipyate hatva pisa iman lokha. Though he is killing the whole world, na hanti na nibyate. He is neither killing nor bound. So that's what Krishna is saying to Arjuna in 18th chapter. That's remain the pivotal for us, not with a false ego, sarvopadi vinirmuktam. So not because with a false ego, but with the right ego of I am servant of Krishna. In that consciousness, Prithu Maharaj lived, and he got children, and he ruled the world. Everything he did with that consciousness. That's why he is not bound by anything of this world. So then the 5 sons' names are given. We read all these things. We'll just go through because we already spent many classes on this one chapter. Prabhupada explains about Chandra Vamsha, Surya Vamsha. Yeah. ओपीथाय जगत्सृष्टे काले स्वे स्वेच्युतात्मकः मनोवाग्वृत्तिभिः सौम्यैर्गुणैः सम्राञ्जयन् प्रजाः.
Since Maharaj was a perfect devotee of the Supreme Person of Godhead, he wanted to protect the Lord's creation by pleasing the various citizens according to their various desires. Therefore, Prithu Maharaj used to please them in all respects by his words, mentality, works, and gentle behavior.
मनोवाग्वृत्तिभिः सौम्यैर्गुणैः सम्रञ्जयन् प्रजाः. So he is pleasing to them. So pleasing the subordinates, pleasing in the sense not just like giving sense gratification every time, but pleasing at the same time elevating them in spiritual consciousness. So Achyutatmakaha, being Krishna conscious. So he is always Krishna conscious. He wanted to protect the Lord's creation. It's not my creation, it's Lord's creation. So he never thought it's his own kingdom. So he thought it's Lord's kingdom and I am the servant. I need to please the Vaishnavas. I need to please all the living entities. So that is the mood of a devotee. Even Gita also explains many qualities. How lokahitam. So the lokahita means people, pleasing the people. Sarvabhuta hite rataha. Even impersonalist has to be consciousness of Sarvabhuta hite rataha. They are engaged in welfare of all the living entities. The highest welfare is Krishna consciousness, surely. So in that way, Prabhupada Maharaj is Achyutatmaka, he is conscious and at the same time is pleasing. Please read this one.
Just 1 minute. A devotee, however, can understand the purpose of creation, which is to give facilities to the individual living entities who want to lord it over material nature. The ruler of this planet should therefore know that all inhabitants, especially human beings, have come to this material world for sense enjoyment. It is therefore the duty of the ruler to satisfy them in their sense enjoyment as well as to elevate them to Krishna consciousness so that they all can ultimately return home back to Godhead.
Yeah, satisfy them sense enjoyment as well as elevate Krishna consciousness appear to be contradictory, but it is not just to keep on giving sense enjoyment in the name of, but maintaining them. Everybody has senses. Senses has to be satisfied, not to be gratified. Satisfy means the needs of the senses has to be fulfilled. Senses has certain needs. Everybody eating, sleeping, wearing and defending. Certain level is allowed for the human being. So within the boundaries, one has to fulfill. Rules and regulations one has to follow within the boundaries. At the same time, then they will be satisfied. So everybody has psychophysical natures, varnashram. So by that one will be satisfied psychologically, physically and psychologically. Then one can be very peacefully executing Krishna consciousness. Otherwise one will be disturbed too much. So that's how Prithu Maharaj is very much satisfying them as well as
Sorry, you can complete and I have a question.
Pardon?
After you complete, I have a question too.
Okay.
Prabhuji, very small question.
Yeah. So basically, the king or the support, the leader, whoever it may be, the spiritual master, has to see that their needs, the physical and psychological needs, are fulfilling because they are stable in the platform. At the same time, they are going ahead in spiritual life, engaging those things in Krishna service. Then it is more fulfilling to them, and they are very much absorbed in that services also. So that's how Prithu Maharaj could recognize everyone's engaging according to Varna and Ashrama, at the same time elevating them to Krishna consciousness. Yes.
Thank you, Prabhu. So, this question is coming. We see Prithu Maharaj's case also, even in case of any other devotee. For example, Tukaram Maharaj, in some of his verses, he says, Ami Vaikuntavasi, Aluyachi Karanasi. Like he says that I am actually from Vaikunta. I have come here, this material world, to actually beat the glories of Vittala and Krishna, and I want to take people back to my place. In another place, he says that actually what type of fallen person I am. I am been rotting in this material world, and still my desire for sense edification is not going. Now this is how do we understand these two things? Certainly, it is not out of sense edification, desire, out of humility. How do we understand?
Yeah, out of great humility. So the more generally by identifying where they are, just like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he also wrote about how his identity in a book, about his identities and all, revealing the ecstasies and his connections. And also he's writing Amar Jivan Sada Bhapirata also, right? So all these great personalities know their full identities. At the same time, just see, it's like seeing a small dot on a white cloth. So they sometimes focus on that small dot and make it so big. Array, see how I have so many material desires, how I am so low. Sometimes they don't see the dot only. There is no dot only. For them, it appears to be, array, there is a dot is there. It is like that. So it's like that. They don't have dot on the white cloth, but still it appears for them as a small dot is there. Array, how fool I am, how I have so many mental attachments and all. So like that, they feel and they express themselves like a conditioned soul. That is the nature of advanced devotee. The more one advances, the more one becomes humble and sees even though there is nothing, but still they may feel that there is a lot of contamination is there.
Thank you,
So,
Prabhu. Thank you.
so that's how they try to identify. But when they are identifying at their identity level, spiritual level, out of humility, they express themselves. How I am servant of the Lord, or whatever it may be. Yeah, here also Kutu Maharaj. Yes.
So, Prabhuji, I also had one question. The last
Yeah.
point there was one thing discussed, that was, that the material people who are in this material world, they have some desire for self gratification, and therefore the king must also help them fulfill that desire. In this, however, we understand in previous yugas, people were very alpa santushti. So, for example, they were very happy within the bounds of varnashrama dharma. But in
Correct.
Kali Yuga, we increasingly find that the bounds of varnashrama itself seem to be austerity for people.
Yeah. Correct.
Bounds of what is called as sense gratification in the Shastra is austerity for modern people. So, so then, when we say that the people or the subjects, they push off greed as need. You
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying? They
Correct.
push off as need, and then say, "Oh, please satisfy this."
Yeah.
So, like, how to balance, and even as us, we are also guardians of our children. So Desh Kal Patra is also another principle. So,
Yeah.
with Vedic principle is way beyond the reach of many people. So just these things are, contradictory. So how to sort of, look at this?
At least as the devotees practicing Krishna consciousness, we know the four related principles is the main boundary. But till whatever influence we have, especially even children also, till certain age only they will be able to hear the parents. After 13, 14, it's quite difficult to even mold their thoughts and ideas, way of thinking and all. We have to be very, very sensitive and carefully guiding. So, as you mentioned, definitely Kali Yuga is meant for that. Kali Yuga is going ahead like that only, and gushing ahead with that kind of a flow. It's all special. Prabhupada's mercy, though it's Kali Yuga is like torrential rain is there, but we need to have our own. Okay, anyway, rain is there. Why cannot? Why unnecessarily we are fighting? Let us go ahead with the flow. No, we have umbrellas, we have protection, we can we have to save ourselves, and whatever influence we have, we can save others. So that's our main point. That at least we practice sincerely, and we try to influence how much ever we can, the dependents or the relatives or children, whoever it may be. But the nature of the Kali Yuga, not only Kali Yuga, but all the yugas, the tendency is always there. So the boundaries are, as you mentioned, there is no much facility that time in terms of resources for breaking so many things in a huge quantity, I mean, a huge scale. But tendencies are there at every level, at every age. All these principles were there, but it's very much controlled by the ruler, by his devotion, by his protection, by his ruling, his devotion, etc., etc. But just like Hiranyakashipu and Prahlad, see, Hiranyakashipu kingdom is wrecking havoc in his kingdom by all this breaking all rules and regulations. So, but every time we have these things, but majorly they don't have this kind of facilities as we have now. So, becoming more and more tougher to maintain at least the four regulated principles. But as Prabhupada's mercy, as Prabhupada's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's special mercy, we are trying to follow, though we never thought of what it is. But we are trying to follow means there is a hope also to inspire others. I am able to follow means, I mean, many can also follow, everyone can also follow. So in that sense, we need to influence others.
So it is, I think,
Hope,
only by examples of the good
yeah,
great devotion and
yeah.
yes, that
Example, we need to set an example as a father, as an aspirant, spiritual aspirant, as brahmacharis, as sannyasis, as ideal society. That's why ISKCON is has a lot of great responsibility to set an examples everywhere. So that examples only inspire. Just like Prithu Maharaj will come in the end at how he was so exemplary in his qualities, like Ramaraja. Then only people can take up. Just like Bhagavad Gita was there and for millions of years, but when Prabhupada presented being an example, how to live Bhagavad Gita, how to be a spiritual person, till that time nobody could follow what is Bhagavad Gita and what is a devotional service. When they saw an example, how they followed and how they, even Indians, we are trying to understand and following Prabhupada. One person setting such a great example. So we all need some examples. Otherwise, theoretically, it's very difficult to be inspired by. Though we may read Prithu Maharaj, whole Bhagavatam, we can memorize all the shlokas, Gita, Bhagavatam, and all the things, Acharya's commentaries. But unless we see certain example, that's why Sadhu Sangha, Mahatseva is such a potence that it's an amazing aspect. That is because they are representing the Bhagavatam. Definitely, reading Bhagavatam is wonderful and we are inspired, we are purified. But by seeing example, we can, because they speak Bhagavatam and they represent, they are examples, we are transformed radically by their association. So that's the amazing aspect of, even there is an English saying, An example is better than precept. So in that way, we need to be exemplary. So yeah, good point you brought out. Okay, thank you very much. So we'll go ahead. So Rajetyadhan Namadheyam Somaraja Ivapara Suryavat Visrujan Grannan Pratapamscha Bhuvo Vasu. From here onwards, the qualities are explained. Yeah.
Prabhuji, Apurva Radhika will read.
Yeah, I already
Yeah.
read 5.
Yeah.
Maharaj Prithu became as celebrated a king as Somaraj, the king of moon. He was also powerful and exacting, just like the sun god, who distributes heat and light and at the same time exacts all the planetary waters.
So his qualities are explained. He is like a Somaraj, the king of moon, and he's also sun god. Qualities are explained here. Please read these two.
In this verse, Maharaj like the sun god. Yeah, like the sun god, Prithu Maharaj distributed his heat and light to give protection to his kingdom. For without heat and light, no one can exist. Similarly, Prithu Maharaj exacted taxes and gave such strong orders to citizens and government that no one had the power to disobey him. On the other hand, he pleased everyone just like the moonshine. Both the sun and moon have particular influences by which they maintain order in the universe. And modern scientists and philosophers should become familiar with the Supreme Lord's perfect plan for universal maintenance.
So all these qualities, so as we are discussing also Bhagavad Gita filled with many, many qualities that we need to practice them. We need to, of course, everybody has certain qualities. Everybody has some predominating qualities, very kind, very soft spoken, very loving, very gentle, or very sharp in taking decisions, or very good in management. So everybody has their own qualities, and also some qualities we need to more and more practice them, exercise them, exhibit them. So that's the ultimate Vaishnava ornaments. Qualities are considered like Vaishnava ornaments. All the Vaishnava qualities, Vaishnava ornaments. So sometimes father and mother are like sun and moon. One will be like sun, sometimes giving heat to correct and to purify. And sometimes we have to be like a moon to give cooling shade. So sometimes father has to act like sun, mother act like a moon, or sometimes mother has to be like sun and father like to be moon. Whatever it takes to for the children to grow nicely in terms of their wonderful qualities. And spiritual master also sometimes he has to act like a sun, giving corrections and chastisements, and sometimes like a moon, encouraging, inspiring, uplifting. So like they are like leaders because leaders they are all like different level leaders. The kings and the father and mother, the spiritual master, teachers, all are the leaders. They have to exhibit these wonderful qualities. The main thing is hitam. Hitam, the benefit of the subordinate or the student or the child, etc. So similarly, Bhuttamara is exhibiting all these wonderful qualities. Dhurdhar Dhurdharashastejassevange Sevagnir Mahendra iva durjaya titikshaya dharitrivra dhyor ivabhishta todrunam.
Maharaj Pruthu was so strong and powerful that no one could disobey his orders any more than one could conquer fire itself. He was so strong that he was compared to Indra, the king of heaven, whose power is inseparable. On the other hand, Maharaj Prithu was also as tolerant as earth, and in fulfilling various desires of human society, he was like heaven itself.
Please read highlight portions.
Yes, Maharaj Prithu maintained all the standards of good and government, and he was so invincible that no one could disobey his orders any more than a person could stop heat and light emanating from a fire.
Like a fire, Agni.
Yes. On the other hand, should I read that yellow one?
Yes.
On the other hand, Maharaj Prithu was as tolerant as earth itself, and he fulfilled all the desires of his citizens, just like torrents of rain from sky.
So, fulfilling desires and at the same time exacting the taxes. So, he showers rain, means fulfilling all desires. At the same time, he takes exact taxes. Prabhupada writes somewhere. So, taking the taxes also, drawing the water from them. Uttama Maharaj distributed his mercy instantly, much like a rainfall. So, in other words, Prithu Maharaj was softer than a rose flowers and harder than the thunderbolt. In this way, he ruled our kingdom. Kusumadapi Kamalam, Vajradapi Kathoram. That's the nature of a Vaishnava quality. Especially sadhu and a sannyasi. That's how he's compared to. Varshati sma yatha kamam parjanya iva tarpayan samudra iva bodha satvena chalaradaviva.
Just as rainfall satisfies everyone's desires, Maharaj Prithu used to satisfy everyone. He was like the sea in that no one could understand his depths, and he was like Meru, the king of hills, in the fixity of his purpose.
So Nirvikara Haridasa Gambhira Ashray. So Haridas Thakur also mentioned about his fixity, determination, his purpose, fixity of his purpose. Nirvikara Haridas Gambhira Ashray. Gambhira Ashray is so determined in his purpose, who has not moved at all with any kinds of pleasures or pains. Pleasures in terms of that Ramchandra Khan sent a very low personality woman to Haridas Thakur. Same time, Qazi ordered 22 marketplaces to beat him. So both times, pleasures and pains, is just fixed in his purpose. So that's how a devotee is. Definitely we are discussing qualities and the topmost examples we are discussing, but we may not be and we are not at that levels, but we are aspiring to, and we are endeavoring, trying to read the examples and try to slowly take some few steps towards these qualities. How we need to be fixed up in our purpose, in our Krishna consciousness, whatever we have taken vows, so that our commitments and our vows are the main thing for our life, spiritual life. The four regulative principles and chanting Hare Krishna, 16 rounds, the five things, they are our main purpose. The whole life has to center around these five. So then when we are fixed in our purpose, then other things will slowly, those whatever may come, pleasures and pains will not disturb us. Otherwise, we'll be swayed away by the worlds. The whole world is going in different direction itself. So we need to be strong in our purpose. Like he's compared to Mount Meru. Mount Meru, I think more than 1 lakh yojanas in height. If I correctly remember from fifth canto, I think you are going to come. So there it mentioned it's so high and so width also is mentioned. So it's so steady, Mount Meru. And like ocean we don't know what is under ocean, what is happening, what is underneath. So here the underneath is mentioned how grave and sober Prithu Maharaj is. Difficult to measure its length and breadth of the ocean. So Prithu Maharaj also so deep and grave, no one could fathom his purposes. Externally, he was like a citizen. He was just like a karmi, appears to be external, just doing his ruling, etc., etc. But his very deep purpose. just please trying to please the Lord, fathom his purposes, and fixed up in his determination. No one could ever dissuade Prathu Maharaj when he was determined. So definitely he was determined to do 100 yajnas. So he was so determined to kill Indra. So the Lord has to come. Please wait, my dear Prathu Maharaj. So he was so determined to do his activities as a king, dharma, to protect the citizens. Of course, internally he wants to please the Lord, not for sake of 100 century kar diya. So that's how it's 99 greater than 100. 99 is His Grace Gaurang Darshan Prabhu coined this one. How? 99 is greater than 100. Because 99 he only did, 100 was Indra, but still Padu Maharaj is great because of pleasing the Lord. That's how 99 is greater than 100. So we also can learn some certain things. We need to be determined in certain activities. I think last time, I don't know whether I mentioned this forum. We need to define to refine. So whatever activities we are doing, whatever we want to improve, we need to define to refine. Small delta x we are talking about. Maybe I don't know at this forum. So we need to define delta x. Delta x is like a small incremental change. So small incremental changes, whatever we want to do to our activities, whatever at home, whatever we are doing in spiritual activities, we have to define a little bit incremental. Then we have to refine them, being determined in that. So then only we will go ahead in our chanting, reading, hearing, service to deities. So whatever it may be. So that's how we need to be determined. So that determination we have to exercise. Vyavasaya atmika buddhi ekeha purnandana. So then we can face any situation in life. So many situations will come in our life. So that all those things we can face with the right attitudes, with the right composure, with the right responses, with the right reflective attitudes. When we practice all these principles, very with great determination. Dharmaradiva shikshayam आश्चर्ये हिमवानिव कुबेरा इव ओषाढ्यो गुप्तार्धो वरुणो यथा.
Maharaj Prithu's intelligence and education were exactly like that of Yamraj, the superintendent of death. His opulence was comparable to the Himalaya mountains, where all valuable jewels and metals are stocked. He possessed great riches like Kubera, the treasurer of heavenly planets, and no one could reveal his secrets, for they were like the demigod Varunas.
Many qualities are mentioned. We'll go ahead. मातरिष्वेव सर्वात्मा बलेना महसौचसा अविष्यह्यत तया देवो भगवान् भूतराडव.
In his bodily strength and in the strength of his senses, Maharaj Prithu was as strong as the wind, which can go anywhere and everywhere. As far as his intolerance was concerned, he was just like the all powerful Rudra expansion of Lord Shiva or Sadashiv.
कंदर्पैव सौन्दर्ये मनस्वी मृगराडिव वात्सल्ये मनुवन्नृणां प्रभुत्वे भगवान् अजः.
In his bodily beauty, he was just like Cupid, and in his thoughtfulness, he was like a lion. In his affection, he was just like Swayambhu Manu, and in his ability to control, he was like Lord Brahma.
बृहस्पतिर्ब्रह्मवादे आत्मतत्त्वे स्वयं हरिः आत्मवत् ते आत्मवत्त्वे स्वयं हरिः भक्त्या गो गुरु विप्रेषु विश्वक्षेणानुवर्तिषु ह्रिया प्रश्रय श्रीलाभ्याम् आत्मतुल्यः परोद्यमे.
In his personal behavior, Prithu Maharaj exhibited all good qualities, and in spiritual knowledge, he was exactly like Brihaspati. In self control, he was like the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. As far as his devotional service was concerned, he was a great follower of devotees who were attached to cow protection and the rendering of all service to the spiritual master and the Brahmanas. He was perfect in his shyness and in his gentle behavior. And when he engaged in some philanthropic activity, he worked as if he were working for his own personal self.
So many wonderful qualities. So please read this one.
Yes. It appears from this statement that Maharaj Prithu, although great devotee, constantly engaged in the loving service of Lord, could defeat all kinds of impersonalists and Mayavadis by his profound knowledge of Vedic scriptures. We should learn from Maharaj Prithu that a Vaishnava or devotee must not only be fixed in service of the Lord, but if required, must be prepared to argue with the impersonalist Mayavadis with all logic and philosophy and defeat their contentions that the absolute truth is impersonal.
Prabhupada had that kind of always a point on Mayavadis when it comes to Brahmavad. Prabhupada brought out from the Brahmavad word, Atma Tattve, Brahmavade, in the matter of spiritual understanding, Brihaspati, comparing Sarvam Bhattacharya to Brihaspati. It was incarnation of Brihaspati, Bhattacharya, Sarvam Bhattacharya. Those are all wonderful qualities. Okay, we'll go ahead. We can read this one. Vishwakshenanu Vartishu refers to those devotees who are constantly engaged in service of the Lord. Other devotees must follow in their footsteps. And Atmadas Thakur said, Echai Gosai Yar Muitaradas is prepared to become the disciple of anyone who follows in the footsteps of Sri Goswamis.
Also,
So those devotees who are constantly engaged in service of the Lord. So we need to following devotees. Serving devotees also. One aspect of that, following devotees, serving the devotees. Vaishnava Seva, Namaruchi, Vaishnava Seva, Jivataya, fundamental principles of bhakti. So we can take some qualities and try to improve a little bit. Kirtyordhva Gitaya Pumbhe Tatra Tatraha Pravishta Karanarandreshu Strinam Rama Satam Iva.
Hare Krishna, if anybody wants to read, otherwise I can read, but if someone read Karuka. Throughout the whole universe, in the higher, lower, and middle planetary systems, Prithu Maharaj's reputation was loudly declared, and all ladies and saintly persons heard his glories, which were as sweet as glories of Lord Ramachandra.
Please
In
read.
in this verse, the word Shrinam and Rama are significant. It is the practice amongst ladies to hear and enjoy the praises of certain heroes. From this verse, it appears that Prithu Maharaj's reputation was so great that ladies all over the universe would hear of it with great pleasure. At the same time, his glories were heard all over the universe by the devotees, and they were as pleasing as Lord Ramchandra's glories.
So the kingdom. Then Prabhupada talks about how this Ramachandra, Ramarajya, practical applications, theological application to our society. People who want Ramarajya but without Ram. But we need to keep Ram in between, in the center. But Prithu Maharaj's reputation was heard by saintly persons because he's exactly represented Lord Ramchandra, ideal king. So kingdom is ideal king. So those are the Bhaktivedanta purports to fourth canto. The fourth canto, 22nd chapter, Srimad Bhagavatam, Prithu Maharaj meeting with four Kumaras. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So that's the, okay, we'll come to the just overview of, just we have seen all these qualities, so many qualities, compared to spiritual qualities. Please go through later on. Or certain qualities we can try to pick up one or two. Maybe everything becomes quite difficult to handle one at a time. Some qualities where we want to improve, that we can pick up one by one. Then we can try to see. Okay. Chapter 23, Prithu Maharaj Prithu's going back home, back to Godhead. So that's main title. So in this mainly, so once he's ruling, in this chapter, how he's ruling and how his qualities and his personality, so many various aspects of Prithu Maharaj is mentioned. And especially in this chapter, how he's also exemplifying how to retire from family life. He was a grahastha, he had a great kingdom, he had a business, so-called business in our terms. He had business, he was so successful in his business, he was pleasing to everyone, he became such a great business magnate. But still he gave up everything. That's an amazing thing, no? So generally, business magnates, I mean, we don't hear that they give up everything and going to forest. Of course, we hear of six Goswamis. Tektva turnamashesha mandalapatim shrenim sada tuchchavat bhutva dina ganesha kau karunaya kaupina kantashito. So how they were prime ministers, chief minister, and Raghunath Das Goswami and all such a great personalities, but still they gave up everything. Of course, they are renouncing. Here, especially, we see of his Vanaprastha life in the terms of how he is retiring and giving responsibility to children, and he is going for more. Both purpose is same. Purpose is same. But the resources and facilities may be a little different for Vanaprastha, technically, for Vanaprastha and a sannyasi. But the main thing is to progress in spiritual life. So Prithu Maharaj, such a great personality, gave up everything and going to forest and setting an examples to how to perform austerity and practice, what should be the mood, what are the austerities, how he performed, and how his wife also followed in his footsteps, how both achieved the higher destinations, great destinations are explained in this chapter. And finally it concludes with everyone, even demigods were glorifying both Prithu Maharaj and his wife, Archie. And then finally the Falashruti is spoken. That's how this chapter concludes, the 23rd chapter. Then for 24th starts with further lineage of Prithu Maharaj in the line of Dhruv Maharaj. So that's how whole lineage is. Prithu Maharaj, Sukadeva Goswami is glorifying the great personalities in the lineage of Dhruv Maharaj. So here we are discussing about Prithu Maharaj going to forest. Let us see how many verses we can cover. So in the first section, Prithu Maharaj, Vanaprastha life, austerities and departure, 1 to 18. And then when he leaves, then what his wife Archie performed, Archie what she did, how her determination, what she did, and all is mentioned in few verses, 3-4 verses, how she also attained the same destination. And then finally glorification of Devatas from the first Shruti. Okay, we will see the summary from our Bhaktivedanta book. Summary is given here. It will be a little more concise. Yes, please read someone. Prithu Maharaj Prithu's going back home. Yes, verses 1 to 11 is describing. In old age went to forest to do austerities to please Krishna. Please read the essence.
I just wanted to ask you, sorry, sir, Krishna. So these summaries which are given sometimes, every some chapters Prabhupada gave the abstract or the summary before the chapter starts.
Correct.
While in other chapters he has not given. So it is Srila
I said-
Prabhupada who has given this, or our BBT publishers?
No, this is our Mayapur Institute.
No,
In
I'm not
Mayapur
talking about the one. I'm not talking about the one on the PPT. I'm saying in Prabhupada purpose, sometimes in the chapter, start of the chapter, Prabhupada gives a summary. Sometimes it doesn't give summary. Like in this chapter.
Actually, initially Prabhupada did not wrote any summary. Initial, I think, second till third canto or fourth canto. But afterwards, he started writing summary of the chapter. Prabhupada only wrote the summary of the chapters. I don't remember exactly where he started, but chapter summaries are there from not from initial point, initial cantos. First two cantos, third canto, I think you don't have. Even fourth canto, I doubt they have a summary. But Prabhupada in between, he started that kind of because all acharyas did Bhaktivinoda Thakur, etc. Especially Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Just like even Chaitanya Charitamrita also, every chapter starts with one verse which is summarizing the whole chapter.
Correct.
Correct, no? Like Bhaktivinoda Thakur and all the practice like that. But Prabhupada started, I think, where he started, third canto or fourth canto. I'm just trying to see. He started first he didn't start, but later on he thought, I think, better to give summary because they may read or not read. At least, I think fifth canto he started summary. I'm seeing here on the screen. I think you can see the summary. Fifth canto, first chapter summary is there. But fourth canto, I think almost till last chapter also, summary is not seen. Summary is not seen. Yeah. But fifth canto is started. Fifth canto is almost in 72, I think. Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah. So Prabhupada only gave summaries. But what inspired him later on, my understanding is that at least devotees can read the summary and understand immediately. Of course, 10th canto he gave summary study immediately, first, initially only. So Prabhupada's mood was always that I don't know till when I am living. So even the same mood of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Madhya Lila started with that summary only. Whole first chapter, second chapter of summary of Madhya Lila and Antya Lila. Madhya Lila 1 and 2 are summaries of Madhya Lila and Antya Lila. So he thought, I don't know when I'm leaving the body. I'm so old and frail. But everybody will have some kind of understanding these things. Same mood of Prabhupada, Krishna book also. Maybe in that same lines we can understand so that devotees can at least read summary, understand what is there in the chapters.
Yes, Guru. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So, 23rd, chapter 23rd. Yeah, please read a summary.
When
Yeah.
when Maharaj Prathu became old, he divided all his property among his sons and appointed them to rule the world. He then felt his citizens who were almost dying in separation and went to the forest alone with his wife to perform several austerities. He ate the trunks and roots of trees, and sometimes he ate fruit and dried leaves, and for some weeks he drank only water. Sometimes he lived simply by breathing air. Prithu Maharaj exposed himself to extreme of heat, cold, and rain, and would sleep on the bare floor. He underwent these austerities for the satisfaction of Krishna alone. Following the path of spiritual advancement advised by Sanat Kumara, Maharaj Prathu worshipped Krishna. He gave up yoga and jnana, losing interest in their goals, having realized that devotional service to Krishna is life's ultimate goal.
So, main thing is in the first section, how we gave up the whole kingdom and went to perform austerities. Kingdom means all appliances, facilities, resources, people, luxury, enjoyment. Forest means all austerities, no eating, no sleeping, no enjoyments, no any kind of proper facilities, etc. So, but still event, still one has to go. Prabhupada explains these aspects of Vanaprastha life. So why he underwent? What is the purpose? But as he mentions, he underwent these austerities for satisfaction of Krishna alone. Either we are in palace or whether we are in forest, whatever it may be, it's only for the pleasing Krishna. Just like Prabhupada himself, before going to West, before 67, 65, 66, 67 also, he was so utterly in poverty condition that he didn't have anything to even to maintain himself. When he didn't know how the next month rent will come for his room. And I mean, quite an amazing inspiration at the same time. How we can see how his faith in Krishna is that next month rent also he didn't know where it will come from. But it's quite an imaginable situations. We cannot step out of home without purse. I mean, of course, nowadays everybody has a phone. We are paying from phone and all, but without phone, without anything in the pockets, can we step out the home? It's impossible. So, but here, how Prithu Maharaj is just focused on pleasing Krishna. So for that, we don't need anything at all. We don't need anything to please Krishna. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayasyati. So definitely, but it befits whatever situation we are in. Accordingly, we try to manage everything. But still, to please Krishna, we don't need any great uh, facilities and resources. So we need a great desire to please Krishna. That is the main resource we need. Desire to please Krishna. Yeah, that's how he went to forest. We will see a little more details. And then he achieved perfection, and then following footsteps, his wife also achieves perfection. Okay, we'll come back, or we can read the section. We can read summary at least, whole section. Then we go through verses. Yeah, continue. 12 to 18.
Maharaj Prathu sat in Muktasana and gradually raised his life hair to the hole in his skull, giving up all material desire. He merged the elements comprising his body into the universal reservoirs of these elements, and then he merged each of the gross and subtle elements into its source. Thus situated in his original constitutional position of Krishna consciousness, he gave up his body.
He gave up the body of Prithu, so he went and achieved highest perfection. Yes. Continue.
Following the great master, Maharaj Prithu's wife Archie followed her husband's path in the forest. She also lay down on the forest floor and eating only fruits, flowers, and leaves, she became frail and thin. Yet because of the pleasure of serving her husband, she did not feel any difficulties.
Yeah.
When
Here. Then Queen Archie.
When Queen Archie saw her husband had passed away, she built a fire and placed the body of her husband in it. After circumambulating the fire, she entered its flames, thinking of her husband. By the thousands, the wives of the demigods, along with their husbands, glorified the queen's faithful service to her husband, by which she attained his destination as well as the power of devotional service.
So that's how she also attained the highest
Prabhuji,
perfection. Yes.
it is said that Prithu Maharaj, just dissembled all his, body elements and then passed away. But now here we see that the body is still there, because just before we see that, Prithu Maharaj, he merged the elements comprising his body into the universal reservoir of these elements. So then, how do you understand the body was still there?
Where is it followed? Where is it?
You can see before verse 19 to 12 to 18.
This he mentioned. She built a fire and placed the body of her husband.
Please,
This one.
so husband, the body is already gone into the elements, according to
Correct.
previous. So
Yeah. So generally, you see the meditation. By meditation, one is mentally offering everything. All the offerings. You might have remember that in second canto, first chapter, I think the meditation of yogi, how when he's leaving the body, he's meditating that how these elements are merging my air element in the air. He's meditating on like that. So practically he does like that. But the gross elements, in the gross form, he is there. So basically it's more of a subtle, my understanding I'm expressing. So this is more of his meditation. The Muktasana, see, the Muktasana is the one asana where we just like Muktasana is one asana. Mukta asana itself shows that how liberated position. Asana is meant to liberate mukti. For mukti, that kind of asana, Muktasana. So just like you might have seen the photo of topmost yoga system, Prabhupada had one photo. A yogi is meditating and the soul is liberating from the skull. You have seen the photo?
Yes, Prabhuji.
So the yogi generally meditates that he is trying to merge all the elements of his gross and subtle body into the eight elements. That's how he meditates. And finally, he gives up his, he raises the soul, not gives up, he raises the soul. So see here also, gradually raised his life air to hold in his skull and giving up all the material desire. So this is the way of how yogis give up the body. So though it is saying that elements are merging in different elements, not that he just disappeared from there. Where is now? He's not here. It's not like that. Just like Narottam Das Thakur. Narottam Das Thakur went
I was going
second
to ask
time.
that same question, Prabhuji. Because
Yeah,
Narottam Das Thakur actually in front of everybody just,
yeah,
dissolved into the river.
yeah. So this is the second time he leaving the body. First time he left the body and the same time came back in the request of disciples. So second time when he requested when he entered into Padma river and he told you just do abhishek from Padma river. That time when the disciples were pouring water, he became milk only. He's becoming milk. The whole body became milk itself, and he just merged in Padma river. So that is not spoken here. Just like Madhvacharya also. Madhvacharya when he was giving class on Aitri Upanishad, then he just disappeared from that place. Just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu disappeared into deity. So it's not just disappeared, but he meditated on that elements that everything is given up. He's meditating, that is the main process of yoga. So they have to meditate like that and they give up the body. So by giving the body, the gross body is there, but he's liberated. Understanding, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Got it, bro.
Yeah, so basically it's like more of a subtle meditation than the gross elements of dissolving the gross things, especially here in this case of Prithu Maharaj. So yeah, that's why the body is still lying there. Yogi's body also lies there only, but is liberated all from the basically is liberated from all subtle elements. Yeah, I think we read this one, and Maitreya explains various benefits of hearing narrations of Prithu Maharaj. Finally, Maitreya explains Falashruti is explained in the last. So the main point is that how Prithu Maharaj, the great austerities and his determination to continue. So when we live a luxurious life, it becomes quite difficult to face a challenging life. Prabhupada explains in a Nectar of Devotion, one great wealthiest person in India during British times. He was C.R. Das, Chittaranjan Das. C.R. Das, he quotes in NOD, writes the name also. This person was earning into, I think, 50,000 per month during 1940s, 40s or 40s, 30s or 40s, before independence. So when Gandhi started non-cooperation movement, so all Indians were asked to quit all the British jobs and take up simple jobs. So this person took up small job, giving up that fat salary. So within a year he died. Prabhupada writes that how he has the subtle body so attached to the luxurious life could not handle the situation mentally. It's not a physical death, it's more of a mental death. He could not handle only that giving up everything. So, but here we see that because that attachments are so strong internally that we understand. But here Prithu Maharaj is a devotee how just like Goswamis and Prabhupada and all. So it's more of internal attachments that makes very, very either this side or that side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Slowly, adding to this, contrary example, Srila Prabhupada gives, probably nectar of instruction and nectar of devotion only, about a person who has a very good life, very prosperous or very very rich life, and they later lived a very simple life, or even a life of beggar, of Lala Babu.
Lala Babu, actually Lala Babu case is different. How he became a devotee, that story is for how he's not about dying. It's about how.
No, I'm just saying, on the contrary, this example of
Yeah,
Lala Babu,
yes.
because of his devotion, he had no problem.
Correct,
He
correct.
could continue
Yes,
even a
yes.
beggar also.
Yeah, very good example of Lala Babu. Yeah,
Prabhuji,
sorry, I
we
thought
don't know Lala Babu. Can you please tell Lala Babu what is that?
Lala Babu story. Lala Babu temple is also there in Vrindavan. If you go to Radha Govinda temple, Radha Govinda temple, if you are walking towards Lord Shiva's temple is there, na? Asheshwar Mahadev. So
Near to
there is Lala
Yamuna,
Babu.
Prabhu, right? Near to
Near
Yamuna side.
Yamuna,
Famous.
Keshi Ghat and all.
Famous.
Basically, Radha Govinda, towards Radha Govinda, all the 7 temples, if you go through that line, Lala Babu temple is also famous. So this Lala Babu is such a great rich person in Calcutta. I don't remember exact the details, but he had great enemies. He was stinkingly rich, and by the stroke of destination, I think something he hears. I think when he was going on the way, when people were washing on the bank of a river, mother and daughter, they were washing clothes, and the mother is calling the daughter, saying that, "Hey, it's a time to go. Come fast. Time is running. Time is going away." So just by the statements, when he heard the statements, he thought, "Arey, time is running. Time is going. Time is coming up." That day only, he just left everything and went to Vrindavan. The time is short. So then he gave up everything. And in fact, it said that he was going to his enemy, who was his enemy not now. He was enemy in the previous life of a stinkingly rich girl, because they have some kind of tussles. Rich people has. He used to go even for those people houses to beg. Lala Babu used to go and beg in front of his enemies, his former enemies. And that kind of renunciation and devotion he could develop. It's a short time. Such a stroke of destiny. How it go? Don't ask me how it arose. Some rare examples are there like that. Many examples. But Prabhupada quotes this story how he lived in Vrindavan as a very great renunciant with great devotion, and he built a temple also. Lala Babu temple is famous in Vrindavan.
I
Prabhupada
heard
tells,
too that where he gave donations for building the temple, he would practically stand in a line to beg for her everyday food also. In the same line, he used to beg.
Yeah.
His humility.
Yeah, so that's a different qualities, how to manifest and how to develop, how to it's all very definitely we can practice certain levels. We should not artificially show at the same time. At the same time, we should aspire internally, may not be externally immediately. But we learn many things. That's the main point here. How good example that to show on the contrary. That though he gave up, Prithu Maharaj gave up such a luxurious life, but still he could, because their experiences are the higher things. That is the main point, that though they gave up everything apparently luxurious, but they're experiencing something higher. Param Drishtva Nivartate. That's what Prabhupada explains in the purports also. We'll come to that point. But the essence is that because they're experiencing something higher, they can give up something lower. In front of that, This is very small. In the mundane eyes, it's very big. Palace, luxury, the elephants, the horses, the people, the commanding, the power, the health, and strength, the chivalrousness, nature. From material point of view, it appears to be great. But comparatively, when you see, then it becomes very insignificant. That's the contrasting thing. That's so when we start seeing towards other side, then we can see this side is how is so small, so insignificant. As the same verses explain that what I mentioned about six Goswamis, the same next two lines explains about how they are relishing the bhava of the highest manifestation of the gopis. कंठाश्रित गोपीन कंठाश्रितौ गोपी भाव रसामृताब्दि लहरी कल्लोल मग्नौ मुहुर गोपी भाव रसामृताब्दि लहरी कल्लोल मग्नौ मुहुर because they are just floating in the ecstasy of that kind of a devotion, extraordinary devotion. So for them it became so insignificant. So that's how they can, that's the main fundamental principle, paramdrashtvani vartate. For one, he wants to leave everything aside, though appears to be very great. Yeah, that's how he gave up and he perfected his life. So this situated in his original conscious position of Krishna consciousness, he gave up the body and following in his footsteps, Mother Archie also. She also, see the amazing point, because of the pleasure of serving her husband, she did not feel any difficulties. We see great examples of Kardamani and Devahuti and many examples how a disciple or a spiritual master or a wife or husband, ideal husband and a chaste wife, how when they follow perfect examples, all these difficulties will not be felt. So, because the pleasure of serving, so the externals may not change. So much of external activities of serving and cleaning and this and that, taking care, so much is there. So much of external physical austerity will be there in serving children, serving husband, home, for a disciple to spiritual master. It's not easy. It's not at all easy. But the pleasure of serving is so high that no external difficulties matters a lot. So internals matters a lot to face the externals, just like Prabhupada. So he was so fixed up to serving his master, uh, his spiritual master. So that it is so great. His purpose is so strong. So the externals doesn't matter at all, even to the point of giving up life itself. So one statement is there by Chaitanya Prabhu that the strength of purpose is inversely proportional to difficulties. Yeah. So the nature of difficulties or the degree of difficulties are inversely proportional to the strength of purpose. Basically, sorry being to be some mathematical equations. So, but it shows that how if our strength of purpose is very high, inversely proportional means
Please
if it
repeat
is
the code.
yeah, strength of purpose is very high, then difficulties are very small. If it is so high, if it is infinity, then it is zero only. But if it is very small, very becoming very small, then it becomes quite high. So that's how we need to focus on this one. generally our life focus on this one. We generally our focus in life, physical, mental, social, family, this and that, so much we are facing. The difficulty is becoming quite high and like a skyscrapers. So generally our focus goes here. The difficulties, how many I have to face, what I have to go through, what I am doing, why this is happening. So our focus goes here, but we need to focus on this as well. Definitely, we need to take responsibilities. I'm not saying that when we have physically down or family some issues are there, we need to focus. Responsibilities has to be there, but we need to strengthen our purpose more and more to face the externals more easily. Yeah. Yeah. So that's how she could. She is not at all feeling the difficulties, but she transformed everything. Okay, we'll go through some verses. We will read the translation, I think so. Please read it. Someone can read the translation.
Who is
Right?
Maharaj Prathu's
No,
at the
the
last
translation.
stage of his
Yes.
at the last stage of his life, when Maharaj Prathu saw himself getting old, that great soul who was king of the world divided whatever opulence he had accumulated amongst all kinds of living entities, moving and non-moving. He arranged pensions for everyone according to religious principles, and after executing the orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in complete coordination with him, he dedicated his sons unto the earth, which was considered to be his daughter. Then Maharaj Prathu left the presence of his citizens, who were almost lamenting and crying from feeling separation from the king, and went to the forest alone with his wife to perform austerities.
Yeah. So this is summary. So I request whenever you have time, so please go through wonderful purports. They are long purports. So we already crossed so much of time in terms of going through many aspects. So what all he did, who is Prithu Maharaj, is the Shita Vaishavatar is explained by Prabhupada. And what all he did before leaving. So he did great administration and taking care of kingdom, especially. Exemplary. He had been an exemplary in his governmental administration, and now he was to become exemplary in his retirement also. So what does it retirement mean? What does it mean retirement? Please read retirement. What does retirement mean?
He divided all his property amongst his son and appointed them to rule the world, and then he went to the forest with his wife. It is significant in this connection that it is said that Maharaj Prathu retired alone and at the same time took his wife with him. According to Vedic principles, when retiring from family life, one can take his wife with him, for the husband and wife are considered to be one unit. Thus, they can both combinedly perform operation.
Yeah, so we can see how Dhritarashtra and Gandhari went together. So examples, many examples are there like that. So then Prabhupada concludes that one should not simply remain at home until time of death, but should separate from family life at timely moment and prepare himself to go back to Godhead. So in the sense that basically the brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, sannyas, the whole system is made to become more and more detached from the whole material situation and take up the responsibility of spiritual life increasingly with great determination as one grows through. It's not that it is decreasing. The graph is not the graph should not decrease. The graphs has to increase. That's the whole system itself is like that. Brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, sannyas. The spiritual life responsibility and the material attachments and detachment from the material life and attachment to Krishna has to the graph has to increase. The attachment to Krishna has to increase. And the attachment to matter has to decrease. The graph as one grows through all this. if at all, if one is going through the brahmachari, grahastha, vanaprastha, sannyas, generally. So that's how the system is made. That's what Prabhupada is also emphasizing the aspect of course, questions, many sensitive questions can come up, how one can do this time and age, etc., etc. But Prabhupada also will explain later on. But it is basically, at least one internally one has to keep on decreasing his responsibilities towards the material aspects and slowly increasing the responsibilities towards spiritual life. Though one can be in staying in home, that's no problem. So as Prabhupada is focusing on a tapovana is used in this word, in this verse, going to tapovana. So can you read these two paras? What is tapovana?
Nonetheless, in order to set the example in all ways, he also underwent several austerities in the Tapovana. It appears that in those days there were many Tapovans, or forests especially meant for retirement and the practice of austerities. Indeed, it was compulsory for everyone to go to the Tapovan to fully accept the shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For it is very difficult to retire from family life and at the same time remain at home.
So taking shelter of the Supreme Lord, especially for Bhakti Yoga, is taking shelter of the Lord, glorifying the Lord. Focusing on spiritual life becomes the center. That's how we can at least try to endeavor to come and have to go ahead in that situation, in that kind of in that line. What is I mentioned? We can see the glories of Srila Prabhupada's life. We can always take example, understand how we can go more and more in this direction. So then that austerities, Prithu Maharaj, how he is going towards forest is explained. Now 4 to 8, more of his austerities, what he did and what was the purpose and what was the result. So in the forest we'll quickly we'll see these aspects. Please read translation.
After retiring,
Yes, continue. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
I think some
Hare
network
Ram.
issue, his video is freeze.
Okay.
Yogini Priya
Oh,
Mataji would like to read?
I will read,
Guruji
Prabhu.
is
After retiring from family life, Maharaj Prithu strictly followed the regulations of retired life and underwent severe austerities in the forest. He engaged in these activities as seriously as he had formerly engaged in leading the government and conquering everyone.
so same seriousness. Seriously. So the resolve that conquered the external worlds now conquers the inner worlds. So conquering the external world is not as simple as conquering the inner world. In fact, it is mentioned conquering the whole world is maybe easy, but conquering the inner world is at most difficult.
So, in this
Yeah,
relation, I remember an example which was shared by Radheshan Prabhu or maybe some senior devotee, I don't remember the name. He was saying that this is a matter of attitude. For example, someone handwriting is good. So that remains good whether he writes a letter to the principal of a college for a leave or whether he writes a spiritual discourse minutes of meeting because the handwriting is good. Same way, here's the attitude of Ritu Maharaj. It was there also that when he was king and government, he used to take care. And now in Vaprastha also, he's been having the attitude of being very sincere in that activities of others. So that attitude is there.
Correct. Yeah, we are talking about the seriousness and he is trying to do the attitudes matters a lot, internal consciousness. Whatever resources we will have, we will execute with that attitude. So in forest, nothing is there now. They're just focusing on his whatever is the regime of a yogi, of a yoga practice. He practices that kind of a regime. And but with the same seriousness. Please read the first few lines. 2 lines.
As it is necessary for one to become very active in family life, similarly, after retirement from family life, it is necessary to control the mind and senses.
Yeah, therefore, in Vanpastha stage, tapasya austerity is strongly recommended to control mind and senses. The tapasya is especially focused on in Vanpastha life. To do certain tapasya, when after age, as age is growing, one should practice more and more tapasya. Tapasya in terms of what tapasya, of course, I think later on I mentioned somewhere. Tapasya, we are not talking about going to forest and keeping whatever he's doing. That is, he also explained his habits. I mean, eating habits and what he's doing, what kind of tapasyas. So may not be, may not be relevant for this time and age. But our main tapasya is just 5 principles, 4 regulative principles, chanting Hare Krishna. These are all 5 is sufficient enough tapasya for Kali Yuga people. So, of course, they have different levels also, not just 5 principles externally. There are different levels that has the layers that we have in the 5 principles. When we can practice these 5 principles to utmost degree, refining them, that is a great tapasya for us. Chanting itself is a great tapasya. And so like that, we have the whole essence of tapasya is to focus our mind on while chanting the holy names. That is the essence of all tapasya for us. Of all the regulative principles.
Sorry for disturbing.
Of all the regulative principles, chant minimum 16 rounds of Hare Krishna mantra is essential, as Prabhupada mentioned. So that is our greatest tapasya. Yes, you want to share something?
Sorry, Prabhu, actually in the whole course, last 2-3 sessions, today also, I interrupted you in between and asking.
No.
I should wait for you to complete actually.
Yeah, please. Maybe you can raise hand and we can pause after some.
Yeah, I'll make it a point. I'll make it a point.
Yeah.
So this, can we say Prithu Maharaj is in Dasya Rasa?
Das Rasa, I didn't come across his Rasa point of view. But he's considered like a Shaktavesh avatar.
He is a Jiva Tattva, right? So Jiva means obviously he has to worship the Lord.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. But did you read any commentary kind of a thing? I didn't come across.
Only thing I remember is when he says to the Lord that I will be coming to you and I will sharing service to you, and Lakshmi Devi will be unhappy with me, and you will be favored to me.
They are
Otherwise,
fighting. I may miss the chance to serve. Yeah, correct.
And
there it comes.
You will favor me like that. So
correct. Maybe we need to see the commentary, Vishnu Jagatagar, etc. If they mention something, because commenting directly it may not be very proper for me to do that.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yes. So read this para and we'll pause. Maharaj
Prithu followed exactly all the rules of Vanaprastha life, which is technically known as Vaikhanasa Ashrama. The word Vaikhanasa Susammate is significant because in the Vanaprastha life, the regulative principles are also to be strictly followed. In other words, Maharaj Prithu was an ideal character in every sphere of life. Mahajanoyena gatasya panthaha. One should follow in the footsteps of great personalities. Thus, by following the exemplary character of Maharaj Prithu, one can become perfect in all respects while living this life or while retiring from active life. Thus, after giving up this body, one can become liberated and go back to Godhead.
Yeah. So that's how we can try to follow in the footsteps, exemplary character of Prithu Maharaj. So in terms of his devotion, in terms of his activities, whatever little bit we can try to follow, so that we can try to please the Lord. Perfecting is one thing, but pleasing is the main thing. Okay, we'll pause here. We'll start with the 5th one maybe tomorrow, the same time. Thank you very much. Nandra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Prithu Maharaj ki jai. Hare Krishna. Hare
Thank you
Krishna.
very much, Prabhu, for
Thank
your
you. Thank you so
wonderful
Hare
much,
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
grateful to you.
Panchakalabdharvasya kripasindhya vacham.
Ekabandhaya
Pita
patitanam
pavane
pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Krishna.